Hey there, everyone. Ervin here, and today we're going to be going over how to defeat every new enemy in Helldivers 2. The Escalation of Freedom update has added in several new variants of old foes, as well as returned an old one from Helldivers 1 with virtually no new tools at our disposal to help combat them, putting the community on edge to some degree, feeling there is power creep for thee, but not for me. And that's understandable. But let's use the tools we do have and talk about how to best bring down all the new variants and enemies brought to us in the update, shall we? The Rocket Strider, as I like to call them, as Arrowhead has seemingly forgotten to rename them to anything unique after taking the Scout Strider and tying 75 ballistic, 50 explosive damage rockets to the sides of their heads and removing the need for a driver. These new problematic additions retain the Strider's normal front mounted turret, which deals 55 projectile damage, as well as making them very lethal if they manage to catch you in the open, although arguably still not as lethal as what happens when a heavy devastator catches you on the other side of hard cover. As I said, there is no driver within the carapace of these striders, meaning the only way to actually bring them down is to destroy a vital component. The main hull is armor class 4 with 500 health, allowing it to tank significantly more damage than the rest of its body, making it actually the least ideal target overall, but can still be brought down by weapons such as the railgun in one shot. Another worthwhile consideration, however, would be the pelvic area of the strider, connecting the legs together below the main hull. This portion of the body is immune to explosive damage, but only has an armor class of 3 with only 300 HP. This is going to be your best overall target for most weapons, as the legs are also armor class 3 with explosive immunity, but these have 400 health instead and are obviously moving around a whole lot more. Another very notable way of destroying this new foe is to actually detonate the rockets on the side of its head. When these rockets are struck with explosive damage of any magnitude, they will explode, dealing 400 explosive damage with an armor penetration value of 5 to the Strider, nearly killing it instantly, leaving the hull with only 100 health remaining. Unfortunately, however, this pod will only detonate when struck before the first rocket is fired from the tube, and it's a very small target. Something to keep in mind, but utilizing a weapon with an armor penetration value of 3, also known as medium pen, to shoot out their pelvis is going to be your most consistent method of destroying these guys, especially considering none of its body has any durability percentage. So, yeah, shoot them in the lug nuts. Next, we're talking about the new Barrager tank briefly. There isn't anything to particularly say that's special about this tank variant. It functions the exact same as the other two variants, but lacks a Class 3 weak point on the back of the turret, only maintaining this weak point on the lower portion of the back of the tank. The tank will be destroyed should it sustain 1500 non explosive damage from any source anywhere on its body, the rest of which is armor class 5, just like the other tanks. The tracks on the tanks are also only armor class 3, but are explosive immune with only 750 health, and they will not destroy the tank should they be eliminated. This will only immobilize it, making it widely not worth your time like the anti tank mines that can't even destroy these tracks on a tank because they are explosive immune. Wrap your head around that. Offensively, the Barrager tracks you as a target the exact same way as a standard tank, and I do mean the exact same way, able to clip its rocket pods into its own body, aiming down at you. This rocket pod fires in 3 round bursts while you are within 50 meters of the Barrager, dealing 75 projectile damage and 50 explosive damage per rocket, the same as the rest of the automaton rockets. Should you leave this range, the Barrager will look to the sky and begin tracking your current location, not leading shots while firing these rockets. Overall, your go to answer for these guys is going to be anything associated with the term anti tank or blowing out that 100% durable armor class 3 weak point on the lower back of the tank. Now, there were only 2 new additions surprisingly for the automatons, but the gunship's thrusters durability was adjusted from 85% to 80%. This is not a super significant change for most weapons, but most notably, it does allow the railgun to destroy them in 2 maximum charge shots, or more realistically, probably 3 shots. The railgun velocity can also make this quite the tricky shot to land, however. The AMR has also seen a reduction in shots required to bring these down through the thrusters by 1. Moving on to the Terminid front, which saw 3 new enemy variants as well as a completely new enemy type, let's talk about the new Alpha Commander. Overall, the Alpha Commander has the exact same armor values across the board as the standard Brood Commander, only sporting roughly 25% more durability on its limbs and 15% more durability on its body and head. Health wise, both the body and head have 25% more health, roughly making the Alpha Commander overall about 35% more difficult to kill in general, but it is still vulnerable to even light penetrating weapons all the same. Although medium penetration weapons that are able to deal the actual full damage are going to be much more successful, and the rapid pace that this enemy can approach you is best going to be countered with heavy stagger. Overall, the Arc 12 Blitzer was my number one pick for the Terminid's last patch, and the increased speed of approach from our enemies has made this all the more true. Overall, you'll want to be aiming for the head with a medium armor penetrating weapon, able to deal a high amount of durable damage to bring these down the easiest. Offensive wise, this enemy is capable of spawning a very aggressive variant of warrior that is overall the same as the standard ones that you're used to fighting, but has a very fast approach velocity doubled when they're decapitated. Now, the speed at which these enemies approach has me recommending the same ultralight 50 armor value suits that I recommended last patch, but even more so now. Another great option in light of our ability to now stim anytime we want is to, of course, be running the lightest suit of medic armor that you have available for more stims and duration to keep your stamina high and the blood within your veins. Despite what some people might think, running light enough armor does allow you to outrun all of the new Terminids, no problem. Next, we have the Spore Charger. Well, really, it's both. The Spore Charger durability wise is the exact same as the standard variant of Charger, notably not mirroring the more powerful Behemoth Charger, except for the fact that it has 100% durability on its rear glowing spot, making it much more difficult to kill with standard non explosive weaponry. Otherwise, one anti tank rocket of your choice will be enough to get the job done outside the commando, which will take two to the head. Keep in mind, though, that the sacks on various portions of its body are able to soak up your projectile damage, which will lead to some inconsistent results when you're unable to line up a clear shot. The legs can, of course, still be stripped more notably by the railgun in two shots, or with anti tank weapons allowing you to finish it with a primary of your choice, as long as it isn't the Blitzer, which can't stop aiming for the head, unfortunately. The real danger of this charger, though, comes in the form of its portable spore cloud, mirroring the effect of being within a spore spewer cloud anytime that you're near it. Visibility is reduced to next to nothing beyond 10 meters in front of you in all directions, which can make it difficult to lock down where this enemy even is. In these situations, it's often going to be best to just let the beast come to you and counter accordingly. Just be sure to not be anywhere near this thing when it dies, as it will explode in a shower of acid similar to other bile variants of enemies, which will do enough to kill you in the event that you are point blank with it. As a side note, it is worth mentioning that although the flamethrower has lost its most notable functionality, being able to kill charges through the front of their legs, it can still burn them down using the slide tech like any weapon could, as well as through the rear of the chargers, as the flames deal the same amount of durable damage as it does regular damage. This is not in any way as useful as it was, but it is an option, just no longer a special one. All right, time to talk about the main event of the patch, the Impaler. This big boy, roughly twice or three times the size of a charger, lumbers around the battlefield very slowly before attacking you with massive tendrils. Going through his durability and notable weaknesses first, when the tendrils are deployed and the head of the Impaler is revealed, this entire area is only armor class 1, which is virtually non-existent. I believe only melee attacks from us are considered to be class 1, while light penetration is class 2. The head has 75% durability and a whopping 1700 health pool, meaning conventional anti-tank weapons are actually not a great solution to this big fella. Instead, more standard weaponry with a high durable DPS is going to be a better personal solution for this guy, meaning the autocannon and the heavy machine gun, as well as the plasma scorcher, are actually going to be the fastest ways to delete an impaler through its head weak spot. The rear of the impaler, underneath the armored section of its tail, is also only class 3 armor with 1100 health and 85% durability. The problem is only 60% of the damage done to this tail is going to be transmitted to the main body. and losing this tail does not inflict any kind of terminal bleed out, unlike the charger. This is going to result in an overall very slow kill, as even after the tail explodes, the main body underneath is still going to require an additional 1340 damage for it to go down. And this inner body still has a durability of 90%. Overall, I recommend against this method. Shoot for the head, Helldivers. And if you want to keep things less personal between you and this squid faced monstrosity, then I recommend setting up a 500 kg or orbital precision strike underneath them, as either one will be enough to say goodnight for the big fella, due to the majority of its body being not immune to explosives. Considering you're still going to have Bile Titans stomping around, and this is one of the best ways to combat those, this will likely be for most of you the go to solution. If you're feeling a little bit spicy, however, stratagems like the Gatling Barrage, Gas Strike, and 120 millimeter Barrage are particularly effective against the beast, while its tentacles are deployed due to the fact that it's either lumbering very slowly or unable to move with the tendrils deployed. Now, getting into its offensive capabilities, the Impaler gets its name from the fact that it, of course, tries to impale you with the tendrils on its face. It becomes stationary and fires three massive spiked tendrils into the ground. After these are fired, they will attempt to lead 5 meters in front of the direction the Helldiver is moving to cut them off. If you are hit directly by this attack, you are extremely likely to die, as the physics engine will send you blasting off like you just initiated into Team Rocket. The tendril itself doesn't do enough damage on its own to kill you in one swipe, but it does have a sizable 3-meter AoE shockwave effect attached to each slam that will ragdoll you to the ground should you be anywhere near that impact site. There are, of course, several good ways to combat this interaction. When you see the ground begin to tremble and hear the sound effect associated with the tendril, this will indicate to you that it is being fired 5 meters in front of you in the direction that you were currently moving. If you then pivot and change direction as this occurs, none of these tendrils are going to be able to attack you. Sometimes, of course, you don't want to shift directions and would rather keep moving in the direction that you were going. Now, you can continue to do so, but be careful to avoid the location of the tendril where it is erupting. When the tendril erupts out of the ground, if you continue directly towards it, the first swipe will land behind you, missing you. This is a much more reliable tactic when utilizing the personal shield generator and ultralight armor, as the personal shield will make you completely immune to the ragdolling shockwave around its impact site. You can then continue forward in a straight line as you intended to. Keep in mind, both these cases, the tendrils are going to follow you to up to 160 meters beyond the Impaler's body, and if you ever re enter this area with the Impaler still alive, the tendrils are very likely to just resume the chase. So, unless you have no intention of returning to the area the Impaler is located in, you are going to be much better off just killing it in the first place than attempting to get away from this thing. This brings us to the third method of avoidance. By staying near the face of the impaler, the tendrils will actually spawn far enough away from you that it's impossible for it to take a swipe at you. If you run past the impaler towards its back, the impaler will also need to readjust its body and turn around before reimplanting into the ground, as the tendrils cannot erupt behind the impaler, only in front of it within a 180-degree cone. Being this close to the impaler is quite dangerous, as this is not going to dissuade the rest of the enemies from swarming in on you while you do so. But if for any reason you find yourself in a 1v1 with the impaler, they're basically completely helpless when you get up close and personal with them. If you want an even more direct and detailed look at how the impaler can best be combated, Thickfilla has posted a video today all about the subject on his channel. Recommend giving it a watch if you're still looking for more info on the hentai bug monster. Well, there you go. That's all you need to know about how to combat the new enemies of democracy in the Escalation of Freedom update. While it is a bit unfortunate that we haven't received any new toys to utilize against all these new threats, hopefully it's now clear how we can best utilize our tried and true methods to see ourselves to victory all the same. If you'd like to see these tips in action, I'll be live again right here on YouTube as well as Twitch this Friday at 6 p.m. EST, where I play only the highest difficulty in the game with my viewers, now difficulty 10 Super Helldive. Thank you for watching till the end, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
And now, another helpful tip from General Brash.
Erevin has fought on the front lines to defend freedom from our new enemies and brought us valuable insight back on how to combat them. For this, I am ordering all active Helldivers to like, comment, and subscribe to his channel. Failure to do so will allow Alexis to breach containment once again and nerf the autocannon. Brash tactics. Use them or die trying.